Hey kid, do you want to learn how to draw? Do you have a drawing tablet and PC? Then get ready for this tutorial. First things first, you're gonna need to turn that bad boy on. Just hit that button right there. Oh, now come on, you could do it. Come on, do it, do it, do it. PogChamp. Now that your computer is on, go ahead and log in. I don't know your password. You're gonna have to figure that one out for yourself. Okay, Is it gay? Is it gay? Is it gay 69? You know, enter button, enter. Great job, sport. Now, make sure that tablet is plugged in. Go on, give the little cord a wiggle. Brilliant. Now pick up your pen, and you're ready to get started. We're gonna head to the next part of this tutorial. Now that your computer's on, the first thing that you want to do is open up your art program. What are you doing? Wait, no. Wait, that's not your art program. Hello? What are you doing? The fuck are you doing? What? Don't hit that button. I swear to fucking God. I swear to fucking, don't do it. Don't fucking do it, dude. I swear to, fucking ranked, bro? You gonna play fucking ranked? You're supposed to be drawing right. Don't do it. Oh my God. Jesus fucking Christ. You're going to open your art program. Now this is where our tutorial diverges a little bit. I personally use Tool Sci, but you don't have to. Here are a bunch of free alternatives to Tool Sci. They're not all free, but Tool Sci is free too. In fact, you know what? I'm going to leave a link in the description to where you can get Tool Sci for free. So if you want to follow this tutorial literally step by step with Tool Sci, if you don't have it already, please download it from the link in the description. It's perfectly safe. I've trusted it myself. So don't worry, no viruses, nothing. You're good to go. So you're going to want to go to File, New, and then this screen will pop up. This is the new canvas screen. Here you can name your canvas, set the width and height in either pixels, inches, and I think there's like one more, it's like centimeter or whatever. I typically go for pixels. You want a good sized canvas, nothing too big, okay? Like, trust me, it can get really big. I would recommend doing about a 2000 to 2500 ratio, and you can go smaller or larger at any time. So if the project needs to get bigger or the project ends up getting bigger, you can make it bigger, and if you end up doodling something super small, you can crop the canvas down. You can also choose what the background is going to look like. There are a few different options. There's white, black, color, which you can set to anything. Mine is set to gray. I personally recommend gray. And then there's a bunch of transparent checkers that you can use, and then there's solids and like transparent. So for my backgrounds, I usually use transparency colors so that I have the gray canvas to work on because it's easy on my eyes. And then when I export it, it's automatically transparent. Unless, obviously, you do a background, which we're not going to touch on in this video. Once you've adjusted everything to your satisfaction, go ahead and click that OK button. Now, we're going to pause here and briefly talk about everything you see on screen, because I understand that opening a new program, especially one that has as many tools as Tool Sci does, can be very daunting. So let's just take a second and go over everything you might need to know. First off, this is the new layer button. Tap this at any time and you can create a new layer. It'll have the same background as the one you picked at the start of making your canvas. This is the folder button. Okay, you can use this to put your layers in folders to keep everything more organized. Always good to know. This is the toggle layer visibility button. You will click this icon to turn the layer on and off. So just in case you draw something or you have a reference picture in there, you can turn it on and off at any time. We're gonna go ahead and skip over all of this. It's not important right now. We'll revisit it later when we're actually talking about it. Up here is your preview window. It lets you get a general, like, overall look at your piece so you can see how it's looking like overall. You can use the scale and angle slider to rotate and zoom in on your canvas. As for the whole other side of the screen, let's just go ahead and cut a few things out here that you don't need to worry about. We've got the brushes tab right here. This should have all of your default basic brushes, so anything that you'd want to use. I personally use these two brushes, but I have to make it incredibly clear. All art tutorials always just fucking skip over this. Using my brushes will not make you better at art. In fact, it might make you worse if the brushes don't actually, like, feel good to use. Every artist is different. Every artist has their set of brushes. The brushes do not make the artist. And if you are here thinking that, oh, I can just copy these brushes and I'll be drawing just like Wooden-Wren̶o, no, you fucking won't be. And I'm not gonna tell you that you are. So you can use these brushes if you'd like. I stole them from other people. And yeah, I mean, feel free to do whatever you want, but like I said, each person has their own brush settings, whatever, but that's where all the brushes are located. Next up, we got the color picker, which should include the wheel of colors, the sliders for hue, saturation, and value. And I personally have my own little shit box that has a bunch of color swatches that I use. It is not required for you to have these swatches. These are just colors that I've collected over the years. If you want to screenshot them and make them your own swatches, I don't give a shit. But yeah, no, that's what I have set up. You can toggle those on and off, but those three little cubes at the top, I have the ones crossed off that you like should not touch. Like if you're new to art, do not touch the ones that I have crossed out, just dead ass. Also, while we're crossing things out, let's get rid of these fuckers because these are irrelevant and also super overwhelming to like new people, so you're not gonna need any of this shit. Ignore all of this, okay? And the last thing I want to touch on real quick is the stabilizer. This is critical to drawing digitally, I feel like. Now, I personally, like I've said, use Paint Tool Sci. That is what we're looking at. Paint Tool Sci has a built-in stabilizer. I personally use the stabilizer S2, which is frankly really high. I know it is. Okay, don't judge me. Listen, my lines are shaky. I got carpal tunnel, bitch. But yeah, stabilizers are incredibly important. Here's a demonstration of what your art can look like with stabilizer 0 versus stabilizer S2, which is what I use. Now, S2 might not be the number for you. It goes from all the way from 0 to 15 and then into the S's. So you have to find out which stabilizer is right for you to counteract how your hands shake or how your hands move and stuff like that. But it is incredibly helpful for drawing. If you don't have a stabilizer, you're going to struggle just a little bit more. I don't think a lot of art programs have stabilizers built in the same way. I know Paint Tool Sci is very unique in how it handles its stabilizer. So for non-Paint Tool Sci users, I apologize, but obviously I can't help with that, okay? I'm just here to share what I know, okay? That's what I'm here for. So now that we've gone over everything that you absolutely need to know before even starting a piece of art, let's actually just jump right on into it. So first things first, when creating art, you typically want to have an idea to start with. Now, plenty of things, okay, plenty of great things have come out of art by just drawing and not having an idea first, but typically, and if you're watching this video, I'm assuming you want to draw something, like you have an idea in your head. So pull up that character reference, okay? Have that somewhere on your computer or on your phone or somewhere in front of you so that you have the reference for what you're drawing. This applies to everything. If you're drawing like a car or a motorcycle or books or a bed, like literally anything, references are super important, okay? Never neglect references. So for this piece, I wanted to draw Minnie. So like any sketch, I start off with a circle and then I proceed to fuck up the face. And then I fuck up the face again. And then I get the head right, which is amazing. But then, you know, ew. Yeah. Anyways, eventually I get into my groove though, and I draw a semi-decent face. Ignore the mouth, okay? I was having a weird moment, but I draw a face. I scale it correctly. You know, never be afraid to adjust things with like the transform tool or the like literally any tool. Don't be afraid to move that shit around, okay? Yeah, I get the face down, and honest to God, once you start sketching and you're going, it does not stop. I would not recommend stopping a sketch literally ever, unless you're like done with the sketch. It is so hard, at least for me, and this might be just a personal thing, it is so hard for me to like drop a sketch and then like walk away and then like come back and start it again, because you have to be in the zone. Okay, you got to be in the zone, you got to be on top of it, because once you're like really in the art zone, once you're like focused on it, you come up with some really creative posing, some really creative ideas, and you just unleash it onto the canvas, and it's fantastic. As you can see, that's what happened here, because like I said, I started off by saying I'm gonna draw Minnie for Pride, and then I was like, what if I drew all of my D&D characters for Pride? Isn't that quirky? So yeah, I ended up drawing all of my D&D characters for Pride. For those of you who are wondering, no, I don't play D&D. I just have a lot of developed characters that I would like to play someday, but I don't have the time right now. But yeah, no, so I ended up drawing all 3 of my little babies, and I love them so much, and obviously it's a Pride piece, so I added all that stuff in, and yeah, I mean, it's sketching. There's not a ton I can say about sketching. My top advice for sketching: keep it loose, do it all in one sitting. You know, don't be afraid if it's messy, do not be afraid to redo it. You know, if it's too messy for you to translate into line art, don't be afraid to add a little bit more detail into your sketches. Like, never be afraid to do that. Just have fun with your sketches is genuinely the best advice I can give. Just whatever you're doing with your sketches, have fun, you know, enjoy it, really just let your creativity take over and have fun. Moving right along to the line art, my least favorite part of drawing. Oh my god, I don't even know what to say. I think everyone hates line art to an extent. I've been trying to improve my relationship with it recently by having more fun and adding more detail, but that is not necessarily advice that I would give to beginner artists / people who are trying to learn. If simple line art is what you need to do to actually get art done, go for it. You know, you don't have to complicate your line art. In fact, do not if you think that it takes away from what you're drawing rather than adding to. But yeah, no, I have a really complicated relationship with line art. I love it. I hate it. It takes so much time. This took me like 2 hours to line everything. It was gross. But yeah, no, line art. Let's talk about it. So there are a lot of things to consider line art, right? One of the major things about line art, and this is remember how I mentioned the stability tool earlier, like the stabilizer? It's critical in the line art phase. Like, you could sketch without a stabilizer. No one gives a shit, okay? But when it comes to line art, you want it looking, you know, preferably you'd want it looking clean, right? Unless you're going for more of a grunge style and, you know, whatever. Like, it completely depends on your style, on how you should handle your line art. If you want to do a cutesy style, you know, do some very clean, like, soft line art. Or if you want something more edgy, go for sharp line art with like dark accents in different things, like just coloring something all black just because you can in the line art to make the rest of the colors pop. You know what I'm saying? It's that kind of vibe. Yeah, line art is something that must be curated by the artists themselves, which, you know, I'm sure that's not what you want to hear. This is an art tutorial. You're like, Ren, tell me how to draw, and I'm like, figure it the fuck out. But genuinely, I couldn't tell you how to do it, because every artist has a different way of tackling it. My way right now, like I said, is by delving into just a little bit more detail. Like, my line art may not look super detailed, but it's like I put more effort into it, and that's what makes me feel better. And I've also been adding like lines and emphasis to things and making things like stand out more or like fade in more, and that's how I have been handling it recently. But like I said, everyone's line art is completely different. My number one tip though for line art, if you fucking forget everything about this video, like, just please remember this one thing. It is genuinely so helpful. Get yourself a good line art pen, one that feels good to use and that doesn't fucking hurt your hand. If you are lining with a brush, whatever the fuck you're lining with, if it does not feel comfortable, it is the wrong brush for you. I cannot stress this enough. For years, I hated doing line art because I hated the way it made my hand feel, and I locked up and it looked like shit, and I had no idea how to improve upon it. And then I fucking switched line art brushes and everything just kind of clicked into place. So genuinely, if you're struggling with line art, switch brushes, change it up, add something new to your style. Just don't keep sticking with something if it's not going to work for you. You have to be able to acknowledge your own limits. So yeah, line art tips. Fucking I didn't say this at all in the main part of it, but like line width is kind of important. Like, you know how lines go from like thick to thin, like a stroke? That's built-in depends, you know what I'm saying? It's art. Listen, if you open MS Paint and you take your mouse and you draw with the pencil tool with your mouse, it's all one width, right? It's all one width because your mouse doesn't have pressure sensitivity, okay? That's why having a drawing tablet is so critical to pressure sensitivity. You can have a great art style with line widths that looks all the same. It just adds it's a different vibe to do the dynamic line pressure. Do you understand what I'm saying? Once again, personal preferences to the artists, you know? Whatever the fuck you want to do. I don't give a shit, okay? But line width, that's important to note. I hope you're watching this video because I'm just gonna edit in this part whatever the fuck I am missing. So be watching the art tutorial video, okay? Well, who the fuck do you think you are? Anyway, you fucking... Stage 3, by far my favorite stage, and I'm sure lots of everyone's favorite stage. Coloring, delicious, adding colors, making characters come alive. My biggest tip, okay, first of all, never, ever, unless you are painting, okay, put your colors on the same layer as your line art. What kind of fucking heathen does that? That is disgusting behavior, okay? You have a layer button for a reason. My recommendation is to select the area around your character, invert it, and put down a base color, and then clip like a folder onto it or something, and put everything in the folder, and then draw that way, or anything but coloring on the line art layer. What the fuck are you thinking? Like, I swear to God, some people don't know how to use their brains, and that is astonishing to me. But yeah, no, shitting on people aside, coloring, yeah, there's plenty of different ways to color. My method, like I said, is to put down like a base coat where I color a character and whatever they're holding or whatever in one solid color, and then I'll make a folder and I'll pin that folder to the base layer, and then in that folder I'll put a bunch of layers on, like with all the different colors and stuff. I typically keep each part of the body in a separate like color layers. Like skin is one layer, hair is one layer, clothes is one layer, sometimes it's multiple layers for clothes, jewelry is another layer, accessories is another layer, eyes are another layer. I have all these different layers so that it's easier in the shading stage to go through and edit each one, okay? Because I shade in steps. Now you don't have to do that. It's just the easier way to do it. It's easier for beginners. I know it's kind of annoying to have like 17 layers for color, but if you want to shade your shit, you just gotta bite the bullet sometimes, okay? Because that's the best advice I got. But yeah, no, there are different ways to color in things for sure. You can either color it in manually, like a paint by numbers book or whatever, or you can use the magic wand tool on the left side of the screen to select your line art, an area of your line art, and then go to your coloring layer and paint bucket the color in. Now, I will tell you that that is not foolproof. The paint bucket is not your friend. That is another common mistake that most new artists make. The paint bucket tool is a tool that is designed for more advanced artists. It's a tool that cuts, like, it's a shortcut tool. It's not beginner friendly, okay? If you select the layer, if you select your line art, and then you select the paint bucket tool, if you're using any brush that's not a fucking pixel brush, you are going to have gaps in places. That's just a thing, okay? Most line art will have gaps, and you can't do anything about it. So you're gonna have to go over a few things and do it again, but you can't just paint bucket it and make it look perfect. You're gonna have a bunch of little missing pixels otherwise, and it's gonna look really awful when you post it to Discord because you're sitting there looking at it on your art program like, oh, it looks great, and then you post it literally anywhere else and you realize, oh shit, there are like missing pixels in everywhere, and then you feel like a fucking idiot. So maybe don't do that. Like maybe don't do that. Maybe you should color by number if you're gonna be so goddamn irresponsible. I don't know, this is my fucking opinion, but like whatever. I don't know. Coloring, it's easy. Were you ever a child? Paint by numbers, bitch. Stage 4, my god, I did not want to fucking record this. Shading. All right, folks, I hate shading. I hate shading these days. I don't do it much anymore. When I do it, you know I'm fucking serious about an art piece, but when I don't do it, it's like, you know, I still care, but it's like, I don't care. You know what I'm saying? Like, who the fuck has time to shade? But if you are gonna shade, and you would like suggestions on how to shade, remember this: the light source does not matter because Pokemon said so. I mean, look at this Turtwig. You tell me where the fuck the light source is on this picture. You tell me where the fuck it is, okay? But in all seriousness, if you want to use a light source, that is absolutely fine, okay? I'm not gonna go in depth on how to use a light source. I personally don't, so I can't really explain it very well. There are plenty of other tutorials on YouTube about it. There are plenty of other tutorials on YouTube about it, so please look into that if that is something you're looking for. But light sources are also something that would make your art style look a little bit more realistic. It doesn't always have to translate to more realistic, but if you are going for a more realistic art style, maybe you should study up on light sources then. But, you know, like I said, it don't matter. As for my shading, I do like 3 layers on every color set. I do 2 multiply layers, which is where this, you know what, let's pause the video right here actually. That's where this shit comes in. This shit matters for shading and highlighting, okay? So there's a lot of shit in this pull down menu, okay? You're gonna ignore most of it, okay? Most of it does not fucking matter, okay? You're not Ross Draws. You don't need to like color dodge, okay? You don't need to do that. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about like beginner shit, okay? Here's the shit you're gonna use. You're gonna use multiply, overlay, and shine. Those are the only 3 motherfuckers you will ever need. Do not be fooled by any of the other ones. Multiply is for making things darker, okay? Never, and I mean I will personally come to your house and fucking kill you if you shade your pictures with black. Don't be like the new Pokemon game. Don't do that. The new Pokemon game looks awful. Why did they shade them with black? Why did they do that? Why? Literally pick any other fucking color, preferably a complementary color. Let's say you're shading something blue, okay? You could, first of all, you could shade it with blue, bitch. But you know, if you want to be special, you want to be quirky, okay? You can shade it with purple or pink. Maybe not orange, because that doesn't look good with it, but you pick a complementary color and you go in with the multiply layer and you put it in shadowy areas that typically wouldn't see sun or where you'd think a shadow would be. So like the little air vents in Minnie's hair, or the fingers, or, you know, whatever. You know, wherever you think shadows should be, just slap them on there, okay? With your first multiply layer, you can play with the opacity as much as you fucking want, okay? You can make it super fucking harsh or barely there. It is completely up to you and what you want and what you want for your art, okay? Then you add another multiply layer. This time, instead of taking a hard brush, you use a soft boy brush, which literally can be any brush, okay, as long as it's got soft. You see this right here? See this? Click this one, okay? Click this one. Make it fucking huge, okay? Put that in the areas where you put the hard shades. Add more dimension to it. You don't have to put it in every one if it doesn't look good, but do it for most of them. Also, pro tip, you can use the magic wand tool to select areas of the line art so that you don't fucking shade the full head when you're just trying to shade the neck. You can just select parts with your magic wand tool and use the shading technique, because at that point, little pixels don't matter, okay? The little pixels that you miss for that part don't matter. It just matters for the coloring stage, okay? Fuck you. Yeah, so you could just, you go over with the big fluffy one and you do the shadows, whatever. The third layer of shading that I use is actually highlights. Now, I don't always use highlights, and I certainly do not use them like I am on 2012 DeviantArt, okay? We do not stand that kind of highlights anymore. Not in my style, not for me. And to be clear, that used to be just kind of taking the fluffy brush and just slapping it in and blending it the fuck out, and that looked bad, okay? My recommendation, use it for like rim highlights. So just pick a few key points in what you're shading and just kind of very gently like trace the rim of it with that bright color, and then you're gonna use shine for that layer. That's not a multiply layer, that's a shine layer, bitch. We'll get back to overlays, because I don't know if you've noticed in the footage, but I have overlays here, and we'll talk about that at the end. Shut the fuck up. Hi, this is Editing Ren. I'm a dumbass. I never touch on this again. I say we're gonna talk about it later. We don't. Overlays fucking make everything the same color. You got a piece, you want it to look more coherent, boom, slap an overlay on it. Looks great. That's all you really need to know. It's not that important. That's how I do shading. You don't have to do it that way. You're welcome to do it literally any way you want. Another common way that I started out doing it was very DeviantArt 2012, but it was like, take thing, paint bucket the whole thing like dark blue, like if you're coloring something like blue, paint bucket it dark blue, and then erase with a fluffy brush the areas where light touches, and then kind of softly blend it out. But like, that's extra effort, and no one's asking you to put in that much work, so it's completely up to you. That's how I do it. That's how I used to do it. Take that as you will. Oh yeah, I do fucking, I've recently stolen geometric shapes. I just kind of steal that shit. Those go in my hair as highlights now. There's like little shines. Just kind of, it adds texture to my art. You can do whatever the fuck you want. You can steal that. I don't care. I stole it, so it's not mine. But you know what? You should always steal from artists that you like. Controversial opinion. I think I said this in another video. If you like something about my art, steal it. But don't steal my art, maybe? Like, don't do that. Okay, key bullet points. Don't be dumb. Have fun with your sketches, stay loose, and stay focused with them, you know? Have a line art pen that's good, okay? And good is literally anything by your standard. I cannot tell you what is good. I can tell you what's good for me, but you have to decide what's good for you. So you get a good line art pen, okay? Critical. For coloring, don't color like a little bitch. The bucket tool is not your friend, fuck you. And for shading, go fucking ham, but don't use black. And also fuck lighting sources. Anyways, I think that wraps us up for today. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. I know this wasn't a super serious video. I wasn't ever planning on making a super serious video, but I hope this gave you a little bit more insight on how I draw on the computer, and hopefully something I said helps you. So, you know, at the very least, I left free paint Tool Sci in the description, so there's that for you, you know? You didn't come out of this completely broken stupid. A big Patreon shout out to my $10 Patreons, Sticks and Arcade Cats, and my $5 Patreon, Flex. Thank you all so much for supporting me. Thank you for watching this video. Leave a like, subscribe. More content is coming. I promise, promise, promise. And I will see you all next time. Happy Pride Month, everybody.